So hello everybody, I'm very happy that Taming the Garden is screening in Taiwan and that the audiences there can watch this film from Georgia, and I'm sure you can all still relate to it even if my country is really far from yours. I think what I have observed, the most influential part comes from money. A person who has extreme amounts of money and can spend them in whatever he or she wishes, I think this is the biggest influence obtained, especially in the country where ordinary people, they have very, very low income or no income at all. And what I have observed, what was interesting for me, was that in the beginning I went to film quite with stereotypes, thinking that, oh, how can you sell your old tree? It must be so precious when you have it in this yard for 100 years, left by your ancestors. But what I have discovered, that these people were basically forced to sell their trees in order to finance education of their children or finance a medical treatment of their family member. So basically they agreed to sell their trees in order to get to satisfy some very basic needs. And also what I have observed, some people just could not say no to a powerful man. When a powerful man asks for something, then you have to say yes. So it was really interesting. And yeah, this power comes from money, definitely. It is from money. This is a really interesting question and rather philosophical, I think, about which we can all contemplate and think about in different ways. Yeah, it is, of course, it is sad that once a person owns something more than the other, they feel entitled to control others, or to think in terms of for others, or to win over others, to have more powerful over others. It comes not only, I mean not only people with money, but also people with the political power. And the protagonist, the invisible protagonist of the film, he has both. He has a monetary power, financial power, and he has a political power as well. By the time of transplanting the trees, he was the head of the ruling party, the ruling political party in Georgia. He was the prime minister from that party as well. And he still is the most influential man in the country. So yeah, this nature, this human nature to feel entitled that I can that I can do what I wish is something that I think is addressed in the film, and something that bothers me a lot as well. And actually this power very much comes also with manhood. It is associated with manhood, I think. So when we filmed the Bidzina Ivanishvili, this man behind the scenes, was very much present without being actually present. He was very much talked about. He was hinted upon. His name was meant. His existence was meant. And I really like this idea that he is present, but we never see him, as people usually never see him. People only hear rumors about the way he is. And he's less and less on television right now. Actually, he was never seen. None of his photographs were seen until he came to the politics, until he decided to run for politics. So yeah, it was quite a conscious decision not to put him in the film, not to put his face in the film. We did try and think that maybe it's worth filming him and then to see, but then it was not worth it, because otherwise we had to show also the rough cut. He would be involved in a way in the cutting process, and we thought it's totally not worth it. It's much more interesting to keep him first mysterious, but also to keep him as a kind of a general figure, a general person with power who has no face. It can have any face, actually, in any country. Yes, I mean, it took quite some time to try to get access to the people, less to the works. It was easier to get access to the works, actually, which is a bit paradoxical, than to the people, mainly because speaking of trees here meant speaking about politics. So many of the people in the villages, they were reluctant to speak in front of the camera. So it took us quite some time to try to find a way to persuade them that when we were not making a political film, that this film was not about like a political party, or was not about like current issues as such, that it was more of a general idea of the image of a tree being taken and being in the sea. Also, for the film to be that the film would be a little bit poetic, metaphorical. So yeah, it took some time, and there were many people who avoided the camera, and unfortunately there were many stories that remained behind the fences that we could not put in the film because people did not want to share the stories. So yes, trees are protected in Georgia by the law. It's not legal to cut them. I mean, you need to get like whole bits of permissions to be able to cut a tree, especially if it's an old one. But the law does not say anything about taking a tree somewhere else. So clearly, since the invisible protagonist is actually part of the government, the law was interpreted in his favor. So yeah, there was nothing about not taking a tree. So if the law does not prohibit it, then yeah, you can take a tree. However, what was really against the law, but still it was put in the frames of law, was cutting down the trees on the way. There were huge trees. Some were really large, old, beautiful trees that were cut down on the way so that a big tree could pass by. And this is actually not legal. But what the local governments did, they said in the paper, or they made a document basically saying that we need to cut these trees so that large trucks can pass on this road in this village, because the villagers have a problem. They cannot have trucks passing, so we must cut down these trees. Clearly, this was a totally made-up argument, but it was done by the government. So yeah, it was illegal, but made legal, basically. So thanks a lot, and I hope you have enjoyed the screening, and have a nice day. Thanks.